right. Shalom, Israel. This is Brother Ananias with another A.O.I edition of Truth Be Told. Today we're going to be talking about the effects of an absent father in Israel. The effects of an absent father in Israel. We're going to talk about that because that's one of the main things or the key factors that plagues our community. A lack of a father. And what we don't know will hurt us. And the key thing is, without the father, it's a lot of chaos, as we see, and that's the main objective, or one of the main objectives that the enemy has had from the beginning. When it comes down to trying to destroy or disorient the nation of Israel by destroying the image of the male, of the man, of the father, the husband. So we're going to jump into that just to show you how a fatherless home affects the nation. And one of the things we're going to go to is some facts first. So, the father absence crisis in America. This is the article that I pulled up. I'll read. So there's a crisis in America, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. 18.3 million children, 1 in 4 lives without a biological step or adopted father in the home. Consequently, there is a father factor in nearly all of the social events facing America today. Research shows when a child is raised in a father-absent home, he or she is affected in the following ways: 4 times greater risk of poverty, 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen, more likely to have behavioral problems, more likely to face abuse and neglect, 2 times greater risk of infant mortality, more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, more likely to go to prison, 2 times more likely to suffer obesity, more likely to commit a crime, 2 times more likely to drop out of high school. Those are just a few stats. And all of that stems from what? A fatherless home, an absent father. You know? And that is exactly what is plaguing our communities today, our nation as a whole. So we got to address the situation. We got to take this thing seriously. You know, I know you've heard of it before, but we got to address it. We got to speak on it. You know, we got to continue to build our household, come back to who we are, and do the things that we were accustomed to doing. How do we learn that? How do we do that? Reading the scriptures, reading and performing the word of God. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna play a video for you. After this video, we'll break it down some more.
You know, this is something that's real passionate to me. I am the executive director of Crisis Pregnancy Center. And in that calling, you know, I see young ladies and young men coming through our doors with a lack of fathering. And when we see that lack of fathering, when they witness a strong male figure, something in them takes place. Something positive takes place within them. And what's interesting about that is that they begin to see themselves in a positive light. Please understand this, that every single social ill that we're dealing with is directly or indirectly related to fatherlessness. Do you realize that close to 81% of teen pregnancies come from fatherless homes? I'm talking 80% of all of our kids that are on the street right now, homeless, fatherless homes. We're talking 71% of the male population in the penal system right now, fatherless homes. Now, these are just a few of the documented stats. I mean, the economic impact cannot even be calculated because it's estimated that 41% of the kids that are in fatherless homes will be poorer than their biological dad. It is just absolutely astonishing. Now, again, I'm the executive director of Crisis Pregnancy Center here in Reno. And I developed a program called Daddy Academy. Now, the probability of these young men coming through our doors, understanding what it is to be a father, is pretty dim. Pretty dim, especially in light of the facts that I just mentioned. And so what we've done is we develop programs and we develop workshops that are specifically designated to help them see the importance of fathering. And we've expanded this not only to our community outreach, and not only in our areas of our teens, but we also spread it out in the community. We've got local judges that have grabbed a hold of our programs. We have local people that are seriously involved in what we're trying to do. Now, the interesting thing about this, we've seen a dramatic change as a direct result of this program. You know, I was talking to some of our young ladies, and it was 4 things that they said that they wished they had. Those 4 things, when they grew up without a dad, was this. They said they wished they had protection. They said they wished they had provision. They said they wished they had presence. And they wished they had praise. Now, I want you to hear what's happening, because I've talked also to some of the guys out there, some of the pimps out there. They said not every young lady is pimpable. But when she lacks those very things, when she lacks those things that would cause her to feel better about herself, she's more willing to do things that goes against her morals. It's unbelievably uncanny, the father rift and the father wound that is so prevalent. We're talking 24 million children right now globally in fatherless homes. So I'm asking this afternoon for you to listen to what I have to say, because this wound is deep. It's extremely deep, and it affects our whole culture. Now, hear my heart when I say this. Mothers, I'm not saying that you're not doing a great job, because you are. But there's certain things that only a father can feel. There's only certain things that a dad can bring to bear. Now, I'll be perfectly frank with you. I didn't have a father growing up. My dad died when I was in middle school. And when he died when I was in middle school, it caused me to grope for a father figure. And because I groped for a father figure, I looked for it everywhere. See, there's a deep desire in all of us to have significance. There's a deep desire for all of us to have a confirmation. Now, see, I would be remiss not to say this being a pastor, but Jesus needed affirmation. For when he came up out of the water after being baptized, it said that he heard 3 things from heaven. He heard his father say this: "You're my son, I love you, and I'm pleased with you." Now, if the Son of God needed affirmation from a father figure, you and I need that very same thing. My heart this afternoon is to talk to you and to convey to you the importance of fathering. Again, growing up without a father, there was things that I groped for. But I learned something. I learned that me fathering others, I can vicariously father myself. I can heal the father wound in me by fathering others. Now, fathering, I guess you'd call them children or kids, men that are old enough to be my dad that I fathered. Daughters that are old enough to be my mother, so age is of no significance. It's something that is deeply rooted within us, that affirmation that we must have. You know, I will share something extremely personal. Earlier this year, my sister died. And this is a long line of unfortunate siblings that have died in the last 10 years. And this was really personal. This one really hurt. Because my sister was more or less she was like a twin. A year older than me, but she was a twin. And I was broken, really broken. And I was just hurting. And of course, my other family members called and said, "We need you here." And so my wife and I, we made arrangements to make that 6-7 hour drive from Reno to Henderson. And my son comes to me and he says, "Dad, I'm going to go with you. I mean, I want to pay respects to my aunt, but I want to be there for you." I said, "Oh, okay, son, I know that I need it." And so we make our trek there, and we get there, and about the day after, we go to the funeral home, and we begin to make the arrangements. And unfortunately, some of the things that my sister wanted, the funeral people didn't have prepared. And I began to get frustrated. Now already, my heart is already broken. And I'm wounded. And my emotions are frayed. But it was interesting to me that my son, Dominic, he says, "Dad, no, I'll take care of it." No, really, I'll take care of it, Pops. And he began to intervene on my behalf. He began to do some things and say some things that I recognized at that moment that he was my father. I recognized the very things that I was looking for, the provision, the protection, the praise. All those things were coming out in the very one that I was supposed to be fathering. He began to father me. My point in this whole circumstance is that all of us have that desperate need. All of us have that desire to recognize that we're of worth. Now, when that happened to me, it caused a healing in my heart. Because, see, there's a father wound, and nationally and internationally, it's a father wound that only fathers can feel. I'm going to ask something great of you. You fathers, you dads that are out there, I want you to stand up. Now, whether you had a father or not, stand up. Now, I want you to do me a favor, man. Because, see, this is a global issue, a global problem, a global issue, a global thing in which only men are the answer. Like I said before, our daughters, they need us. Our families, they need us. They need us. And so I'm going to ask something great of you, men. I want you each to close your eyes. And I want you to do this. I want you to picture the best father. I want you to picture the best dad. I want you to picture him encouraging you, telling you he's proud of you, telling you that you're the best. I want you to think on that. I want you to meditate on that. Because, see, it's a global men problem, and we're the answer to that global issue. Now, stay focused, man. Now, this is what I challenge you and I need for you to do. Go and be that very thing that you just envisioned to those around you. Because it will change the trajectory of their lives. All you need to do is be compassionate. All you need to do is be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, and you can change the lives of many. To this very day, I have young men and older men calling me saying, thank you very much for intervening in my life when I needed to hear some positive enforcement, some positive confirmation. You may be seated. In the mid-90s, there was a movie that came out that I really enjoyed. It was called Boys in the Hood. And I really liked the movie. I really did. It was about a young man coming to age, and his mother was kind of unruly with his mom. And the mother said, you need to go live with your dad. So, of course, she calls the pops, and he says, yes, I need to talk with him. And it was funny because one day in the scene, he grabs his son, and he takes him outside, and he says, I want you to rake these leaves. And he sees his friends, his buddies, his son's buddies across the way. He calls them over and says, hey, I want you to do me a favor. I want you guys to rake these leaves. I'll give you $5 for it. The kids say, man, $5 ain't, and I'll let you fill in the blanks. And he said, they leave, and he looks at his son. He says, son, I know that you think I'm being hard on you, but I'm trying to teach you responsibility. You see those guys over there? They don't have a father. You're going to see how they end up. Now, the movie was great, and this character played a great role. But the frustrating thing I had about that is that he pronounced a prophecy over their lives. He declared something over them. He said, you're going to see how they end up. And unfortunately, they ended up the very way he thought they would. Question is this: how much more finances would have it taken him to simply take them with his son fishing? To take them with his son as he takes them bowling, or takes them to his job. How much more finances would have taken? The eternal difference that could have taken place as a result of him going outside of his comfort zone and beginning to invite those young men would have changed their lives. Again, I am the executive director of Crisis Pregnancy Center. and again on a daily basis, I see the negative impact of fatherlessness. And these young ladies are desperately looking for someone. Now, it's amazing to me. I talked to some of the caseworkers of some of the former ladies who were in prostitution. And they say this, they said, you know what? Their healing exponentially increases when a strong father figure is in their lives, not looking at them with wanting eyes, but encouraging them and letting them know how valuable they really are. All of us desire to hear that, especially our daughters. Again, I say that I'm not taking anything from our moms, but the issues that we're facing on a global perspective has everything to do with fatherlessness. You've heard the numbers. Then that was just a few of the stats. I say this in closing, and I ask you this in closing. Be the father that you've always wanted. Be the dad that you just envisioned to others. And not only will you heal them, you will vicariously father yourself through fathering others. It is a win-win situation. So I ask you, men, take it up and stand. Because in you, things can change. In you, a life that is going one direction can be changed by some positive affirmation from a father. I am passionate about this. I am unbelievably focused on this because I see daily the desperate need for fathers to step up and live in the lives of those who desperately need affirmation and encouragement. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
So after the video, it was pretty on point. You know, the brother was breaking it down and giving amazing stats, shocking, astonishing stats to show you the effects of having an absent father in a household. You know, where he didn't have a father, and many of us didn't have fathers. Where we try to figure it out, we want to be the better example, we want to be something different than what's projected on TV. But for the most part, we are searching because more than 75% of our households are single parent, meaning broken, absent father. So we continually on a search, on a quest to find that example of a father, you know. And from there, we're going to go to Sirach chapter 4 and verse 10. Because one of the things that the brother brought out in that video was how much more would it have cost that man, or Lawrence Fishburne in the movie Boys in the Hood, to actually take them boys under his wing, basically, knowing that they didn't have a father, but spend time with them to teach them and raise them and give them advice to keep them on the right path, rather than stand by like most of us do, shaking our head, clapping our hands at it. You know, how much more would it have taken to pull the young lad to the side, or the kids or the brothers and sisters that we see in our own neighborhood that's doing wrong and going off? How much more would it have cost us to actually take time and sit down and talk to these brothers and sisters? Think about this. It's very powerful. We need to start considering these things instead of being selfish, thinking about our own. How much more? So we're going to see what the scriptures say about it. I don't want to just go off with what my opinion is or what most opinions are. We're going to go to the scriptures and see what the Lord said about it. So we're going to go to the Apocrypha, to the book of Ecclesiastes, or Sirach, chapter 4 and verse 10. And it reads, "Be as a father unto the fatherless, and instead of a husband unto their mother, so shalt thou be as the son of the Most High, and he shall love thee more than thy mother doeth." What is that saying right there? Be a father to the fatherless. Me being a father, and I see the atrocities and the things going on in our neighborhood, it's my job, and it's a commandment of God, to speak and to take time to deal with our own brothers and sisters, if the father's there or not. That's a commandment. That's showing love to our brothers and sisters. That's showing love toward your nation, the nation of Israel. You can't be worried about the other nations right now when our nation is in a tragic state. You can't be worried about the other folks. We need to be worried about our own. We see what's going on. Our brothers shooting and killing each other day in and day out. Week after week, you hear about a new murder, a mass murder. And it's always involving our people. The nation of Israel, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We are God's chosen people. We need to wake up and come back to who we are. Stop following and watching and acting off what we see on TV and hearing our music. Stop listening to that music if it's not uplifting. Stop watching those movies if it's going to turn you and have you acting in evil spirits and wicked ways. You know, we always try to follow and mimic what we see on TV and what we hear on the radio. So if it's going to have us in those spirits, we need to change the tune, change the channel. You know, but the scripture is saying right here, you need to be a father to the fatherless. You see brothers and sisters that need help, they need guidance. Us as the older men, the aged men and women, we need to start taking time and talking and building and pouring into our people, our children. They are the future. They are part of the nation. They are family. You need to start caring about more than just self. Get involved in your community. Get involved in your own household. Some work to the point where they don't even, like you were saying in the video, care too much to take time and speak to their own family members, to pour into the child and give them the knowledge and understanding that they need. Perfect example would be what we just seen happen in the media not too long ago, probably a week or two ago, when the boy stopped for a routine traffic stop, and the woman tried to run, and the cop said she mistakenly grabbed the gun instead of the taser and shot the boy. Now, we can go back and forth about who was right and who was wrong in the situation, but the key thing was when I watched the video on it, it had the auntie on there. She was going about saying that the family has police officers in the family. His father is in his life, the mother as well. But nobody thought to sit that young man down and tell him, hey, this is how you handle this situation. No need to run. If you got to go to jail, we'll help bail you out. But you got 3 or 4 cops and you already got out the car. Your first thought is to get in the car, run, break free, and try to run from them in your car. Where do you think that's going to get you? Where is that going to end up at the end of the day? Think about these things. But had the parents or the police officers that are in the family sat the young man down and told him, look, it's a way to handle everything. It's a way to do, it's a way to speak, it's a way to do everything. When this situation arises, this is how you handle it. A young man will still be alive today. But he's not because his parents or his family members didn't take the time to speak to him and give him the knowledge that he needed. They weren't being a father to him. So this is why we're doing this class, to wake our young brothers and sisters up. Our older men, our older fathers, young fathers. Be a father not only to your own household, but to the fatherless. That's what the scripture says. I'll read it again. Be a father unto the fatherless, instead of a husband unto the mother. You don't have to be dating that woman or being married to that woman in order to be the father. You need to understand that. Being a father is more than that. That's what the brother was bringing out in the video. He been a father to men and women that are older than him. You know? You need to understand that. Now let's go to Rock or Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, and I'm going to read to 11. Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter that ye may be safe. For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and have confirmed the authority of the mother over the son. Whosoever honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins, and he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure. Whosoever honoreth his father shall leave his joy, shall have joy of his own children. And when he maketh his prayer, he shall be heard. He that honoreth his father shall have a long life, and he that is obedient unto the Lord shall be a comfort to his mother. He that feareth the Lord will honor his father, and will do service unto his parents, as to his masters. Honor thy father and mother, both in word and deed, that a blessing may come upon thee from them. For the blessing of the father establishes the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundation. Glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for thy father's dishonor is no glory unto thee. For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children. So you read all that to say what? Obey your mother and father so that you'll be safe. Teach the kids that. Do those things, parent. Raise them up the right way so that they will be safe. That's what we all worry about day in and day out about anyway. Teach them, honor their father and honor the mother. Why is that? Because it said it will add on to their life. They will have longer days. And it say to honor, whosoever honors his father shall have joy of his own children. Why is that? Because you take what your father teach you, and you will teach it to your family. And you will have joy of your children because your father raised you the right way and you grew up safe. You had a successful life, a prosperous life, keeping the commandment, and you're going to raise your kids in that same fashion or that same manner. It also say, honor thy mother and father, and word and deed. Teach the kids to do so. You know, we always use the scripture, obey your mother and father. They need to understand exactly what that means. You got to break that down. And that's the same way we do with the kids that are not in our own household. Teach them why they should be obeying their mother and father, why they should be keeping the commandment, why they should be walking in the ways of the Most High God, for their safety, for longevity. You know, it said, for glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for thy father's dishonor is no glory unto thee. That's what they like to do here in America. They like to glory the dishonor of the father. The father sleeping around with that woman. They make songs like, our father was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. They glorify that. That's evil. That's wickedness. Fornication and adultery. But they glorify that here in Babylon the Great, or America, as you say. Getting drunk, smoking weed. They glorify that to the point where it's all in your movies, all over the radio, all in your music, your magazine, your neighborhood, your household. They glorify that. Pass it down generation after generation after generation. They glorify. That's dishonorable. So the Lord say, glory not in the dishonor of thy father. But it says, for the glory of a man is from the honor of his father. That's exactly right. Think about it on this level. Superstar, LeBron James. His son grew up, he living under the legacy, under the honor that his father left or created while he was coming up from his own life. So the child naturally is going to come up under whatever the father left. So if the father was a deadbeat, all he did was run around and chase women all his life. If he was on drugs, if he stayed bugged out, drunken, ODing, whatever the case may be, what do you think that label will be put on the child? Ain't nothing come from that household. The father ain't nothing but a drunk. They don't mean nothing. I can't trust them. The father was nothing but a thief. So you would be coming up under whatever type of legacy or honor that your father had on his life. But it's saying, I'll read it again to you. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11. For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and a mother is dishonor and a reproach to the children. Think about that. It's serious. That's why we need to take being parenting seriously. For today's topic, we talking about the effects of an absent father in Israel. It's very important. I got another video that we're going to show just to keep us flowing.
That, you know, like they've done like 40 years in the penitentiary. Mm-hmm. So, and, you know, incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any headway?
I think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, yeah, they're little yummies. I said, who? He said, little yummies. Look up, Google Little Yummy. Little Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer. Wow. And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old. Wow. Who's doing life now, a 16-year-old.
Makes no sense.
He blaming the system. Where was his father? It starts in the house. It starts in the home. And yeah, well, my father got locked up. But where was his father? Yeah. You know, like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 and 25. One did 28, this and that. I was the only one of the 3 that had a father in my life. Even though my parents were together, but I still had a father who was a gentle man and a good example. Yeah. And they didn't. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7. Yeah. We were all doing enough to get locked up at 13. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing, and the system got them. So I don't. The system is rigged, but why? All the more reason not to help it.
So that was a pretty good video. Simple question, but getting it from a high-profile celebrity like Denzel, getting his outlook or his take on what's going on in our society. And he basically was shedding light on the truth. The system is correct. But we can't blame the system, we gotta blame ourselves. Why? Because everything starts at the house. That's what he was making reference to in that video. They're not locking up 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds. Where are they getting, why are they locking up the 13, 14, 15-year-olds? Because they're not being parented right. You got kids, where you said, Little Yummy, 11 years old out murdering folks and being known for that at 11 years old. It starts in the household. You got to be that righteous example to the children. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. This is what the Lord wanted. This is Genesis 18 and 19. Genesis chapter 18, verse 19. And it reads, for I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. So what is he? This verse right here is making reference to Abraham, our forefather. The Lord said he's going to trust in him. I know him. Knowing he's going to serve the Lord, he's going to have and command his household to follow and live in the ways of the Most High God. That's how we got to be his father. The world ain't going to teach him. And the world is ready to devour them up. So that's in the scriptures as well. But let's go to Proverbs 22 and 6. Proverbs chapter 22 and 6. Bear with me. Proverbs 22 and 6, and it reads, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. You've all heard that before, but it's true. Why do we bring this up? Because as a parent, as a father, we are the first line of defense. We are the first teachers. You need to understand that. But we need to be raising the children in the way that they should go. How should they go? Doing what they were created to do. Serving the Most High God, day in and day out. Walking in his ways, keeping the commandments. That's priority number 1. Everything else, that can wait. But knowing who you are and what you're supposed to be doing is priority number 1. That's what you should be teaching as a father. Raising your household the right way, the correct way, so that they don't go down the path of chaos and destruction. Think about that. That's what we need in our society today. Now let's go to 1 Timothy 5 and 8. First Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. This is one of the things that we're supposed to be doing as a father in the first place, from the get-go, and teaching it as well. This is what the Lord said. He say, But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he had denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. But we got to take care of our household. We got to take care of our family. We can't let the government take care of them. You know the outcome of that. You know, we can't let another man fulfill our job. We got to be doing what's required of us. Take care of your household. Take care of your family. And when you do so, you're teaching your child, whether a boy or girl, to do the same thing. Be a righteous example. The Lord said if you're not taking care of your family, you're worse than an infidel. So we need to man up and be in our children's life. Now, most folks will get it construed thinking that taking care of your household is just paying the bills. That ain't the case, bro. You know, it takes way more than just money to raise a household. It takes way more than just money to raise a child. To take care of a household. You got to guide that household. Not only do you have to make sure that the finances are in order, but you got to teach. You got to lead. You got to be that example. That's what the Lord is talking about right there. Don't just get caught up in what America show you on the TV thinking that you just pay bills and that's it. Nah. That the brother was bringing up in the video earlier. Brothers so making the money so much that they forget about the children. Next thing you know, 10, 15 years and went by and the child grew up and he never really knew the child. And the child never knew the father or the mother, for that fact. They're always working. When they get out of work, all they want to do is sleep. The child never really knows anything about that person. You were never able to pour into that child the way you should have because you were chasing a buck, a piece of paper. So when the Lord say take care of your household, it ain't just paying bills. You got to pour into your children, raise them the right way. Be that righteous example. Bigger than that. Now let's go to Deuteronomy 6 and 6. Because this is how you pour into them. This is how you spend time with them. You know? Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6. And it reads, "And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently." The them is the the commandments. Teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So the Lord is telling you, spend time with your children, with your family. Teach them when they wake up, when y'all walking to and fro in the world, before they lay down and go to sleep. Teach them about the commandment. Give them examples as to why they should be doing it and giving them consequences as to what happens when you don't keep the commandment. It's that simple. That's what a real father's going to do. I know we all thought we had was doing it the best we can here. We all did it that way. But being in this truth, you got a true understanding as to what we're supposed to be doing as men, as fathers. It's more than just paying a bill. It's more than just having fun. You got to give them the knowledge that's going to prepare them so they can go out into the world and do great things. You know? Be that righteous example to the community. You got to show them that it's more than money. Life is about more than money. You got to understand that. So for now, let's go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Exodus 20 and 12. And it reads, "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee." Like we were saying earlier, you got to teach them to honor you in work and deed, when you're around and when you're not around. Show them the reason why they should be doing it. You know, tell them what honor is, so they know how to honor you. You know, sit them down, open that dictionary up. I know it's hard. I know Israel don't like to read, but open that dictionary up and read it to them. Break it down to them. They kids. They don't know everything. Don't Stop assuming. That's another thing that Israel does a lot of. Assume. You can't assume that they know anything. Being we are the first teachers, first line of defense, we got to break everything down to them. We got to, if anything, assume that they know nothing and break it down to them every chance you get. When they wake up all throughout the day until they laying down, we need to be breaking it down to them. And by that, just like the brother was saying in the video, you'll be fathering yourself while fathering others. Teaching yourself and teaching them at the same time. So now let's go to Proverbs 6 and 9. Proverbs chapter 6 and 9. And it reads, Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provided her meat in the summer and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard, when thou risest out of thy sleep? Telling us, Father, stop being sluggards. Stop making excuses. Look to the ant. The ant ain't got nobody telling it what to do. They go to work. They puts in work day in and day out. For the mission, for the goal, to raise the family, to help build the family. That's how we got to be, gentlemen, men, fathers. You got to go hard. It don't stop just because your children are in or not in your household anymore. It goes from the time they come in until you have no more breath in your lungs. You still got to be teaching them, bringing them up, giving them great example. You know, being that righteous example until you are no longer breathing. That's a commandment of the Lord. The whole duty of man is to serve God, serve the Lord. You can find that in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. The whole duty of man. So one of his commandments, like we just read in Deuteronomy 6 and 7, is to teach them diligently. You got to constantly be teaching. Keep these commandments. Stop making excuses and get it done. So that we can plan and strategize and plot and plan to go make it to work on time. We need to be doing or putting in double that effort to make sure our family and our nation is being taught as well. Stop making excuses. All right, so now let's go to Leviticus 19 and 18. Leviticus 19 and 18. This is something else you're supposed to be teaching your children while we at it. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. And it reads, Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. So what are we teaching them? Teaching them hard work, first of all. And we teaching them how to love thy neighbor. I read it again. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Teaching them love of thy people, love of the nation, and love of themselves. Understand that. You got to teach them how to love themselves. Because when you don't do that, when you don't give them praise, when you don't give them the positive affirmation, they liable to go seek it elsewhere. When they've never heard they were doing a good job from their own father or mother, they're going to go seek it elsewhere. So we got to teach them to love themselves and to love their own people. Stop chasing after the other nations, trying to be like them. Nah. Teach you to love yourself first. Self-love. Love your people. You know? What else it said? It said, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge. We got to teach our kids not to do that as well. But that's the main thing that we see in our society. Somebody, brother gets shot. Now he want to shoot their brother or sister. And it just keep going back and forth, back and forth. And you got a whole community or a whole nation of brothers and sisters shooting and killing each other. When the Lord said we shouldn't even be avenging nor bear any grudge. We had fathers and mothers that was really worried or concerned about what was going on. They would come together and do something about that. Mainly teaching them from the beginning how they should be conducting themselves. You know what I'm saying? But that's one of the things that we lack. That's why I'm doing this lesson tonight. So now let's go to First Chronicles 29 and 19. First Chronicles 29 and 19. And it reads, and give unto Solomon my son a perfect heart to keep thy commandments, thy testimonies, and thy statutes, and to do all these things, and to build the palace for which I have made provision. What is this right here? This is King David praying for the child, for his son, praying for the child, not for anything worldly. What he was saying, he was praying to the Lord for him to give him a perfect heart, to follow and walk in the ways of the Most High God, to keep the charge, to do to finish the mission, to stay on course. You got to pray for your children, you know, as fathers. Pray for them to do the right thing. And in order for your prayer to be heard, you got to be keeping the commandments. You got to understand that as well. You got to be keeping the commandments. Pray for your children. Teaching them diligently. Showing them, being that example. Now, let's go to Ephesians 6 and 4. This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 6 and verse 4. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in nurture and admonition of the Lord. What is that saying right there? Don't provoke the child to anger. Why? Because that's going to discourage them from trying to do right, from trying to learn more. They don't provoke them to anger. Build them up. Those are the things we need to be teaching our children and being that example of. Not just on your own household, not just in your own household, but brothers and sisters, sons and daughters in our nation that we see struggling and need help. Give them the necessary tools and knowledge that they need. You see that they lack it and give it to them. What good does it do for you to have all this knowledge and keep it to yourself? That's not nation building. But keeping these commandments and teaching, being a father to the fatherless, and those of your own household, taking care of your own household, that's godly. That's righteous. That's what we need to be striving to do. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 103, verse 13, and it reads, like as a father pitieth his children, so the Lord pitieth them that fear him. So, what is that saying? We got to pity our children. We got to have pity upon them and understand and know they don't know everything. They will make mistakes. The Bible says foolishness is bound in the heart of the child. So yes, they will make mistakes. They're going to mess up. We got to have pity on them. Just like the Lord got pity on us. We don't have it all being adults. We still make mistakes. But we got to continue to strive to do better each and every day that He wake us up. And that's the same thing with the children. We got to have pity, have mercy upon them, and continue to push them to be greater and better in life. That's what we got to be doing as fathers. But now let's go to Luke 15 and 20. Luke chapter 15 and 20. And it reads, and he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell upon his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring hither the fattest calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be merry. So that's what a father is supposed to be like. forgiving, having mercy, realizing that the children are not going to make the best decisions at all times. You have to have pity on them, have mercy upon them, and understand that they're going to make mistakes. A righteous man will fall 7 times, but he rises up again. So, what is that saying right there? Never give up on the child. Never give up. They're going to make mistakes. But the son had to come back to the father. Same way we got to come back to the Lord when we mess up. We should be striving not to mess up, but scripture say we're going to fall. So we need to pray and repent of the wickedness that we've been doing. 1 John 2:15. And it reads, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So what is that? Teaching the children as a father to deny the ways of the world. Teach the kids to deny the world. Not to chase behind it, but to deny it and walk after the Most High God, their creator. The world celebrates holidays that have no meaning. And we follow, as a nation of people, we follow blindly, not even understanding the true nature or the true origins behind those holidays. We just do it blindly because we've been doing traditions of men. We got to teach our children not to be lovers of the world, not wanting to do what they see on TV, not wanting to be like Cardi B, not wanting to be like Megan Thee Stallion, or wanting to be like the Wayne Wade child, following the ways of the other nations, wanting to be what they see on TV of the other nations. You got to teach them not to be lovers of the world, because outside of this book, the other nations are against everything that the Most High God stands for. And us as righteous examples, we should be teaching them to walk in the ways of the Most High God for their benefit, to be prosperous in life, to be safe, for protection. You got to understand and teach that day in and day out. But now let's go to John 14, 21. John 14 and 21. Bear with me. And it reads, ye have my commandments and keep them. He it is that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of the Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. So the child will grow to show the love of the Father by keeping the commandments. The love that you show your child via keeping the commandments through the scripture, you teaching your child that, you showing the child how to love you and the Lord at the same time. The child gonna grow to show love and understand what love is. It's not what the world teaches you, a ooey gooey feeling. That ain't what the Lord say love is. Love, according to God, is keeping his commandments. That's how you should be determining if a person really loves you by what they do for you. If your child really loves you, they'll do what you ask them to do. That's what the Most High requires of us as his children. If we really love him, we'll keep his commandments. So likewise with our own children. Think about that. So now let's go to 1 Timothy 4 and 12. 1 Timothy 4 and 12. And it reads, let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. Neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given by prophecy, with the laying on the hands of the presbytery. What is that saying right there? Let no man despise you in your youth. Raise the child by your example. By you teaching that child by your example, You teach them and raise for them to be an example to the other brothers and sisters that they or live around or go to school with or they work around. You being an example to them and to the rest of the world makes them to be an example, to be their light, to be their salt that they were created to be. You know, raise the child by your example to make them an example through sound doctrine. That's what the Lord is saying right there. Through sound doctrine. How they speak, how they carry themselves, all that. We need to be teaching them that as fathers, how to conduct themselves. From day one until we gone. We need to be talking to them and building them up constantly. It's not just until they graduate high school. It's till we gone. We got to constantly be building them up and teaching. Remember that. From now, let's go to Proverbs 21:2. Proverbs 21:2. And it reads, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the heart. So the father should be instructing his seed to seek the Lord at all times, because you can't be just running off what's going on in your mind. Because your mind is deceitful above all things. Your mind will tell you one thing, but it's really another. The Lord said, cleave unto him. You know, trust in the Lord, Proverbs 3:5. Lean not unto your own understanding, but trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Acknowledge him in all thy ways, and he shall direct thy path. Understand that. You need to be teaching and raising your children the same way. Because what will they do? Come into a situation or have a problem in life, don't know what to do, don't have an answer, they'll go talk to somebody who has no understanding and get a wrong answer and do the wrong thing and have a wrong outcome and then come crying to you about it. So being a father and a mother, but we're talking about a father on this topic, in this video, that the father should be teaching them where they should find their answers at. They should be able to come to you as a father and get an answer, but if you're not around, they should be able to open the scriptures and read and find the answer. Revelation 1:3 again, blessed is he that readeth. You should be teaching them how to read and discern and open his Bible to find the answer. You know, that's our job as fathers. But for now, let's go to Jeremiah 17:9. Jeremiah 17:9. And it reads, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Teach them how, to set their mind on the Lord once again. And teach them how to discern what's going on in life. You know, that's what we're going to find out in Proverbs 20:5. You got to teach them how to discern things. Proverbs 20:5, and it says, counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. Life will become difficult for those who are unlearned. But when you learn these scriptures, life is not hard. You have the answer to everything. You know what's going on. Especially when you diving into it day in and day out. You understand exactly what's going on. So you know how to do what? Raise your children, how to teach them, how to give them an answer to the situations that arise. You got to be able to teach them how to discern what's going on in life. That's basically what they're saying right there. See basically what others don't see. Put them ahead of the curve. You know, give them the wisdom and understanding that they need, rather than them trying to figure it out 10, 20, 30 years down the road, when you could have gave them that advice or gave them that knowledge in their early years to be prosperous, so they'll know what they're supposed to be doing in life instead of being behind. Understand that it's key. And that all stems from what? Coming from the Father.